Composite number rules. Whole numbers, just like prime, whole numbers that are greater than 1. Now I have a little side note here. L makes less than, it makes an L. That's how you know when it's less than. If it's backwards, so it doesn't make an L, that's how you know it's greater than. So the top line says whole numbers are greater than 1, just like the same first rule of prime numbers. The only difference is with composite numbers, instead of only factors of 1 in themselves, they have more than 2 factors, 2 plus. They have more than 2 factors. So, example, a prime, so number 2 is a prime number because it's a whole number greater than 1, but its only factors are 1 in itself, meaning the only factors of 2 are 1 and 2. Again, factors are what whole numbers can be multiplied and divided by. So if you divide 2 by 3, you're not going to get a whole number, okay? Doesn't have to be even or odd. It could be either or, but you'll get a whole number, meaning there's what? No decimal or fraction. Very good. Let's keep going with some examples on composite numbers, and we'll do a slight review on prime, and then we're going to tackle one of the quiz questions kids struggle with. We'll go over this question too, and other prime and composite tables, because the tables can be confusing. I want you to take a few moments, go back on your notes if you must, on what are our rules of prime numbers and what are the rules of composite numbers that we just went over, and try to answer this question, and then we'll go over it. Is 2 a composite number? Why or why not? Take a few moments to answer this and we'll go over it. Okay, hopefully you said no. 2 is not a composite number because 2 is a prime number. It should look like this. No. Why or why not? No, 2 is a prime number. Now let's go over the why and why not. Okay, is 2 a composite number? No. Why or why not? 2 is a prime number because it is a whole number and its only factors are 1 and 2, or 1 in themselves for the general rule. Yes, so let's fill that in. Because 2 is prime, not composite, because it is a whole number, meaning there's no decimal or fraction, okay? And its only factors are 1, 2 for 1 and 2, or 1 and themselves would also be an acceptable answer. But this is better because it shows that you know what the factors actually are. Okay, some composite number examples. 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 14, 18, 20, even 21 is in there. Notice it's not because it's even or odd, okay? Because right here, these are all even numbers, right? But 21's not even, right? You know what else is a composite number? 27. That's a composite. A prime number, just to refresh, would be numbers greater than 1. So we don't write 1, okay? Because that's obvious. So we just start with 2. 2, 3 is prime. What else is prime? 5, 7. Let's do, what else is prime? What else is prime? I want to give a higher number for you. 24 is prime. Oh, no, I lied. 24 is not prime. Actually, 24 is composite because there's more than 2 factors. So we can get 24 with 1 and 24. We can get it with 12 and 2. So there's more than 2 factors to figure out 24. There's more than 1 and 24 to get 24. You can multiply and divide multiple whole numbers to get the answer 24, which makes it a composite number because of our rules we have to follow, specifically the second rule for our composite numbers. Go back and look if you need to, and feel free to pause the video or rewind it or watch the other videos over again if you must. Now let's go over the example from the homework, or the quiz rather. We have prime and composites. List all factors of the numbers. Let's go over. I know you recognize this one. Like, what the heck is that, right? But it's actually not that confusing. And maybe it's not that confusing now because you might understand the rules for prime and composite. If you have this paper, ask your mom and find it in your notebook or wherever she may have put it, and see if you can find this quiz that has these problems on it. It should be numbered the correct way, I believe, but it should be right on the quiz. Okay, so does this look similar? And does this look like on your paper? And even if it's not, if you can't find the paper, I'll read it. So we're going to go over this number 2 before we go over the table, okay? So it says, even though the big number at the top of the poster is covered, Sarah says it has to be a composite number. Do you agree? Why or why not? Well, the only number we can see, let me use a different color, hold on. So the only number we can see is number 2. So everything else doesn't matter. It's asking us, essentially, is 2 composite or prime? So Sarah says that 2 is composite. Is she right? Let's find out. What's our rules for composite numbers? Let's go over that. The rules for composites, okay? They have to be what? Whole numbers greater than 1. Okay, most important is that it's a whole number, meaning there's no decimal or fraction. Okay, so that's rule 1. What's our rule 2 for composites? This is the only rule that's different than prime. What's our rule 2 for composites? There's more than, right? More than 2 factors. There's more than 2 factors to get the number. Well, hold on a minute. How do we get 2? What do I multiply to get 2? Well, we know we can do 1 times 2, right? Equals 2. And 2 times 1 equals 2, but that's the same thing. Okay, so I did an example. How we figure out the factors, we start multiplying. So we're going to go 1 times 2 equals 2. Okay, good. So we know that that's right. So do the next number right in line. Do 2, 3, 4, or you can even do 2 times 2, 2 times 3, right? So this is how we figure it out. So 1 times 2 is 2. That's correct. Great, good. That follows the rules. 1 times 3, though, is 3, not 2. So that doesn't follow the rules, right? 2 times 2 is 4. That's not 2. Doesn't follow the rules. So we know, again, this is how you show your work. And we know that 2 is prime. 2 is prime. The answer for why Sarah is not correct is because 2 is a prime number because it's a whole number and its only factors are 1 and itself. In this case, 1 and 2. So that would have been the answer for this problem number 2. Even though the big number at the top is covered, we don't see a big number, so we can't possibly do anything with that number. We don't know what it is. Okay, so that's what we call arbitrary. It means it's not really useful information to us, so we don't have to worry about that. So it says, Sarah says it has to be a composite number. Do you agree? Well, the only number we see is 2. And just like we went over, we know that 2 is prime because we went over our rules and our factors, right? So the answer is no, I don't agree, because 2 is prime, not composite, because it's a whole number and only has factors 1 in itself, or in this case, 1 and 2. That's how you would answer the question. All right, let's do another example. Let's do this top one up here. Okay, now this one's a little tricky just because of the table. It can make people nervous. And the language, because sometimes they like to reword things and you might not now understand, but it just means the same thing we've been doing.